The night I finished building the bed for my best friend's mother, my hands were shaking not from the weight of the wood or the hours of labor, but from the strange, heavy feeling that settled in my chest as if something irreversible was about to happen, because I had come there thinking I was just fixing broken furniture, and I left knowing I had rebuilt parts of myself I didn't even know were fractured yet. And that was the moment when a simple act of kindness quietly turned into the most emotional lesson of my life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing good when no one is watching, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. My name is Daniel Carter, and at that time I was 24, lost between unfinished dreams and overdue bills, surviving on freelance carpentry jobs while my best friend Ethan watched me drift without direction, and when his mother, Margaret Wilson, mentioned that her old bed had finally collapsed under years of exhaustion and sleepless nights, I offered to build her a new one without thinking twice, not for money, but because I remembered how she used to leave food at the door when Ethan and I were broke students pretending everything was fine. Margaret lived alone in a small house that smelled of lavender and old books, a place that held memories heavier than the walls themselves, and as I worked there day after day, sanding wood until my arms burned and measuring each cut with obsessive care, I began to notice the quiet sadness she carried, the kind that doesn't cry loudly but settles into the corners of a room, and she watched me work with a soft smile that carried gratitude, loneliness, and something unspoken, while I struggled with my own doubts, wondering if building furniture was all I would ever be, wondering if effort without recognition had any meaning. The bed slowly came together, sturdy and simple, every joint tightened with patience, and as the final screw went in, I felt a strange pride, like I had built more than wood and nails, like I had created something safe in a world that kept feeling unstable, and Margaret's eyes filled with emotion when she saw it finished, not because it was beautiful, but because someone had cared enough to make it strong. That evening, the house was quiet except for the ticking clock, and as I stepped back to admire the bed, exhausted and emotionally drained, Margaret rested her hand on the frame, closed her eyes, and softly suggested that I try it with her, not in desire, not in temptation, but in trust, as if she needed reassurance that it would hold. And in that moment my heart raced because I wasn't ready for the weight of what that meant emotionally, the closeness, the shared vulnerability, the line between helping and feeling seen. And yet I understood that she wasn't asking for my body, she was asking for presence, for proof that something solid could exist again in her life. I sat on the edge carefully, feeling the strength beneath us, and the silence spoke louder than words, carrying grief for her late husband, gratitude for kindness she hadn't expected, and my own realization that purpose sometimes shows up disguised as simple work done with honesty. After that night, everything began to change slowly, not dramatically, but deeply, because I started to take my craft seriously, pouring intention into every piece I built, understanding that what I made could support someone through their weakest moments, and Margaret began to sleep peacefully again, while I began to wake up with direction, and Ethan noticed the shift, telling me I looked grounded for the first time in years. Life didn't suddenly become easy, but it became meaningful, and months later when I delivered my first commissioned bed to a family who had lost everything in a fire, I realized that the night I built Margaret's bed was the night I built my future, the night I learned that kindness can be misunderstood, feared, or avoided, but when accepted with respect, it heals both sides in ways nothing else can. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that small acts can change lives, please pause for a moment and leave a comment below sharing what part moved you most, because your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. And as we reach the end, I gently ask you to engage with this video, like it, share it, and subscribe, because every interaction helps keep stories of hope alive. And I hope this one stays with you the way that night stayed with me, quietly, powerfully, and forever.